Well, I hope we can speak now. Troy's given us strict instructions not to say anything for 5 seconds. I was a bit premature then. I was after 3 seconds, but Troy, I couldn't wait to get into this morning's call because we have the one and only Geoff Jowett online, and he's on my bottom right hand. Morning, Jeffrey.
Hello, JM. How are you, mate? Great to be here.
Good. You've got about 500 McGrath people who've been eagerly awaiting. They probably couldn't sleep because they wanted to listen to your great wisdom. So very, very shortly, we are going to come to you and just sort of get some insights on, jokes aside, on what you're doing, because I know you're coaching a lot of the best agents in the country, and not just agents, but people from all types of businesses, CEOs, and I don't know anyone better that I could we could invite today to speak to our team than you. So thank you very much. Christopher clearly missed the black Tom Ford memo this morning again. You got the black glasses right.
Hey, I wanted to do something a bit different and amp it up. I thought something a bit Christmassy, like a green shirt. Come on.
Well, St. Patrick's Day was a week ago. Christmas is not for 8 or 9 months. So, but Chris, you're always ahead of the curve, and I love it. I love that about you, Troy. Welcome
so much.
Good morning. Now, the only thing is, John, that actually Chris and I were on a Zoom call about half an hour ago, and I did have a green hoodie on. And so he thought I was going to stay with green, but obviously default to black. So sorry, Chris.
Pop your glasses on, so we all got glasses. Geoff, do you have any glasses?
There we go. We're all in.
Not nearby, buddy. No.
There we go. It is the Brady Bunch. Well, maybe not. Who's the other group?
We've run out of characters on the show. Anyway, down to business. Some great news in the last 24 hours. Let me just take you through internal news, because as we know, we're focusing on the inner market. We've encouraged people, Geoff, or discouraged people to watch the external market or the media because most of it's negative and will be for some time. So why put yourself through that punishment when you can simply follow positive stories on things like Instagram, things like your site, Geoff, and some of the stuff you've been doing on Facebook, Instagram. So some good news. Matt King and down at St. George area, Hurstville. Matty, I mentioned yesterday, I clarified it overnight. Matt's done 4 deals since Saturday, and I know, Geoff, you've coached his team very closely over the years, he and Kieran. 4 deals since Saturday and a 5th due today. 5 sales since Saturday. What coronavirus, says Matt King? What coronavirus? Because 5 deals in 5 days sounds like not a bad activity for a young fella that used to sell photocopiers down in Sylvania. Number 1.
Good stuff, Matty. That's awesome.
Someone being arrested there.
Geoff.
Geoff and Troy live in the heart of the city on Darlinghurst and
It's not me. It's Geoff.
I knew it was going to be one of you. Number 2, David Cordius, down in Geelong, one of our brilliant principals and sales agents in Geelong. Proud to announce that as at yesterday, unconditionally, David did the record ever, not talking about like this year, this month, ever highest sale over, I don't know if we can say it exactly, but over 5 million for a residential property in the middle of the so-called coronavirus. Over 5 million. David Cordius, take a bow, and Team Geelong leading the way as usual.
Well done.
Well done, guys. That's huge.
Benny Goodwin. Benny has just joined us very recently, in fact, weeks. And again, middle coronavirus, happens to sell prior to auction for 5.675 million, a terrace in Paddington. So about 5.7 million for Benny. Congratulations. So now, that, by the way, that's just 3 of many. I've had lots more great things. I know you mentioned Mike Dowling, Troy. I saw this overnight. For those of you that don't follow Mike Dowling, I would encourage you to do it. This is a post Mike did. That was on Instagram, wasn't it, Troy?
Yeah, Instagram stories. Mike and his team managed to launch 3 properties and sell 1. And the one that he sold actually used the virtual tour technology. So, and he did a live demo on Instagram stories. So when we talk about educating the market and really engaging with the audiences, because people have a lot more time to look at these things in some circumstances when they're at home right now, that's a great tool and a great case study to anyone going out there potentially pitching that to their clients. John, and I know you mentioned an REA stat. What percentage has increased on REA viewership?
8%.
So
8% traffic. So people are going home. They've got more time. Some of them, unfortunately, are in a situation they may need to sell, so they're on REA. Others are in a situation they just want to get on with life and buy a new home, and they've got more time than they've previously had to look at it. Some may be opportunistic, that's fine. You know, the world's made up of all different people. Some might be looking for a bargain, to bag a bargain, doesn't really matter, but 8% more traffic than traditional times through REA. As I mentioned, Geoff, as we move towards you, I said that in many ways, without wanting to sound insensitive to the challenges that some people in the world are having, the more speed bumps, the more turbulence, the more challenges and hurdles the industry needs to jump over, the better for us, because I think we're extraordinarily well equipped as a brand, as leadership. We've got the best talent in the country. We've got the best emerging talent in the country. And I can't imagine too many other people having people like you, Geoff, Jowett on, people like Matt Steinway's coming on next week. We had John McManus, we had Pete Chauncey. Who else we had, Troy? We've had who did we have Tuesday? I had a mental blank.
Tom Panos.
Oh, Tommy
One the
Panos.
only, Tom Panos.
Panos was sensational. How could I bloody forget him? He's like my brother. So, really the opportunity, and Geoff, what we're having, you know, I've suggested to the guys, and you've coached me on this, it's around, you know, what do you focus on is where your energy and where your mind and where your activity is going to go. And so you're focusing on the opportunity now versus the scarcity is really critical. So if I could start with key asset today, mindset, staying strong. It's easy to stay strong for a day or two, not so easy to stay strong for a month or two, and that's probably more likely the time frame that we're going to need our people's mindset to be strong. I know you're coaching a lot of the great talent in the real estate industry. Can you talk us through what are some of the conversations you're having? What are some of the ideas you're giving to them to maintain a strong, positive mindset focused on the right things?
Yeah, sure thing, JM. Firstly, something that a phrase I've coined this week really is old world, new world, because where a lot of people are going to get stuck is in what was in the old world. And the old world's gone for now. And it's our ability to adapt and accept fast that will govern our success in the immediate short term and beyond. So, and this is so relevant for people who may have had a lot of listings a week, a month ago. People have to realize that what was then is not now. And a lot of people, there's opportunity cost in this area because there are different things happening right now versus last week. A lot of those things that were there a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago may be challenging to get over the line because people might not be able to accept what things are today. So you need to embrace that and understand how much time do I give that? Of course, I be of service and I focus, but there's going to be a lot of new people coming on the boil, especially after Monday, people who are in a distressed position that need advice. They don't need a salesman, they need advice, they need a friend, they need support. And if ever there was a time for best practice, it is now. Because if you curate and support and serve your database and you are there for people as a friend and a trusted advisor, you will not only survive, you will thrive above and beyond into the future without a doubt. I am seeing it firsthand, but we must be precise with the intent and the language that we are using in every phone call and conversation that we have. Some of those listings and whatnot, great. They're still going to move. No dramas. But all of a sudden this week, there's a whole lot of other people who are now sitting around dinner tables, looking at their financial position, looking at their assets, looking at where they're really at. And the key thing here is reaching out to those people that you know, that trust you. But you're not going, oh, hi, g'day, mate, thought of you. Dude, look, any thoughts on, maybe, do you need to sell? Obviously, you're not going to do that. That is the worst. That's ambulance chasing 101. I am not, by the way, spinning this as a good news story or an opportunity. This is a tragedy for many people. This is very sad, but I am making good out of a bad situation. We must make good. I'm not saying it's good. We make good. There's a distinct difference. And in doing so with that mindset, we narrow the focus. Don't engage in the bullshit media. Who cares what the government policy is? Because I'm not in the government and probably neither are any of you, so I can't change it. What I can do is service my people and focus on my controllables. That is where I must be right now more than ever. And If people can do that, they will begin to see things popping up that were not there a week ago. There is a different vendor emerging. At the end of this week and next week, there is a different seller. There is a different buyer. People who are cashed up right now, there will be bargains aplenty. And you know what? They're going to go shopping. They are there, cashed up vendors on your database from the past. Just check in. Hey, thought of you. Hope you're well. If I can help, give us a buzz. Keep it light. When people are in pain and fear, you must keep it light. Do not be direct and do not focus on you. You call people and you just ask, hey, thought of you, mate, challenging time. I'm here if you need me. That's it. If they need you, they're going to call you because you're not being a pest. You're not being intrusive. And you're not taking advantage of their position. You're simply there to help. Irrespective of listing or not, selling or not, you are there to help. And you do that, in my opinion, across your entire database. You do it as a trusted knowledge source, a friend, someone who needs to be there at this time. And we all need that. Now, Johnny, I just want to say this about real estate, because this is critical, because I'm fairly new to it. This industry, I love it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this industry is as bomb-proof as anything I've ever seen. Because while ever there is a third party needed in a transaction, everybody here has an exciting career. Because in times of distress, there are distressed sales and opportunistic buys, and you facilitate them. In times of a good market, you facilitate. A bad market, you facilitate. You are always there. But people get stuck in the narrative of what was a week, a month, a year ago. We must dump that immediately. That is gone. If we can do that, we will thrive. This is a time for leadership. And everyone at McGrath, John's one of my closest friends. The people that you should be following are people who've been in the fight before. People who've been in a battle. I went to hell and back, and I am so blessed that I did, because it gave me the tools to cope and be able to think strategically when others are spinning. That is the key. 5 or 10 years from now, people will be interviewed that broke through, and they'll say, what was it for you? COVID-19, without a doubt, because they will gain market share. They will take, for want of a better term, opportunity. I'm not being opportunistic. I'm making good. We can either curl up and die or make good. We can fight for our families and make good, or we can be victims. I've heard people lately talking about, I was just getting back on my feet and this happened, blah, blah, blah. Victim, victim, victim. Everyone was just getting back on their feet. Dump that narrative. It doesn't serve. What can we do today? You've got a database of people who trust you. You just reach out to them. I'm here to help. If you need me, give me a buzz. Done. Everywhere. Now, the great Richard Benuvri, one of my favourite clients, one of the great McGrath superstars, he's doing this. You've loved him, mate. You've wrapped him since day dot with me, and he is flourishing because he embraces what I say. He trusts it and he does it. And 2 listings yesterday, bang, 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 bang. Now, this isn't theory. This isn't possible, probable. This is real, happening right now, because he is utilizing these tools and strategies. That is the key. People out there are hurting. Now, a week ago, there was more uncertainty. So in my opinion, that was even harder into the future. As of Monday, we know where we stand. We know a whole bunch of joints are closed. We know things that we didn't know then. Some people will have to offload. You need to be there for those people, and a lot of them will be on your database. Now, they might not be offloading next week, but they will be into the future. And you have other buyers who are in a great financial position who will be looking for deals. And why wouldn't they at this time? That's just capitalism 101. It's economics 101. That is what we have to remember through these challenging times. And then you got the people, pardon me, upsizing. They'll lose a little bit on their joint, but they'll save a ton on the bigger joint. There's stuff everywhere. It's just that the stuff isn't the same stuff that it was a month ago. If we can reset and realize that quickly, people can flourish.
Yeah, Geoff, exactly right. I think that one of the key skills today is adaptability, agility, flexibility, speed of change, like once upon a time when things weren't changing so much, and they haven't changed as much as they've changed the last month for a long time, it was kind of, had to be good listener, good listing, good, all this sort of stuff. Now, one of the key skills is the ability to not get caught in what was. As you say, if you're sitting there saying, oh my God, I had this great listing, I had 6 buyers all lined up, ready to go, they all fell over. Okay, well, that's happened. What are you doing now to get it back on track? Well, the problem is that, they were offering 2 million. Now the offers are coming at 1.8. Great. So what are you doing now to have the conversation? I remember when the GFC hit, Geoff, I interviewed in this format Chauncey. We had him on the other day, and he said back then, he shifted from, I don't want to tell them that because they don't want to hear that, and that's not a nice thing to say to them, versus every vendor deserves to hear the truth. And when he shifted, all of a sudden his property started moving, because rather than trying to save the vendor from the discomfort of the reality of the situation, he just said, here's where it's at. And some of them, when he said it's gone from 2 to 1.8, some of them said, well, Pete, look, to be honest, I'm going to withdraw. He said, that's no problem. When it's back to 2, let me move forward. Others said, okay, if that's what it's at, that's what it's at. Let's take the money. So I think in times like this, you're right, Geoff, that the energy's got to be trusted advisor, not salesman. Great piece of advice up front. Secondly, there's never been a more important time to be authentic than there is right today in your conversations with people. Geoff, you said before about you got to stay focused and you got to stay strong of mind. What are some of the practical things that people can do to stay focused and to stay positive when there's this bombardment of negativity? And I guess the first one is try and shut out the negativity. What are some of the other things that you think they can do?
Not engage in futile debate on things that we have no control over. Government said to do X, Y, Z, we do it. Fullstop.com. We do that, we toe the line, that's it. And then we get back to what we can do. We have to simplify and narrow our focus. So if we've got, what do we have to do today? Who can I call? Who can I serve? What can I do? Forget the rest. We've just got to be more vigilant with that approach. Actually, JM, like nothing's changed from a mindset point of view. It just matters more. In the good times, you can have an average mindset and do really well. Now you will perish. Now it's more important than ever. The principles, the pillars are the same. In terms of authenticity, in terms of trusted advisor, in terms of being a friend long-term to past vendors, like that is how you build a robust business and a business that you love. Not just in the bad times, but even the good. That is how you love going to work. That gives you a feeling of service contribution. Now, it just so happens that people appreciate it more when times are really tough, but that is how we must live if we are to build a great life. It just matters more now. People appreciate it more now. And Richie wouldn't mind me saying this. He was calling people a bit last week and having a few challenges. We changed the narrative a bit. Not one challenge. Everyone appreciated it. They were grateful. He wasn't a pest in any way, shape or form because he was reaching out to help. No agenda. I'm here if you need me, mate. Thinking of you. Have a great day. That is possible right now if you have the right intent and the narrative is correct. And that's what I do with I script everything because, my background really is sales. Body trim was sales, $100 million worth of them. We must have done something right selling. So it just so happens that I'm doing this now, mate. So it's all the same. You've got to link yourself to lead, link yourself to the person to lead. They have to know that you're in their corner, not trying to take advantage of their position. There is a distinct marked difference and people feel it. When you pick up the phone today, you cannot be thinking, I'm going to call this person, I think they're struggling, I'll get a listing. Wrong, you're gone. You got to think this person's struggling, how can I help? You do that enough, you'll get a lot of listings. And the other thing you need to do, let's say you had 10 listings 2 weeks ago. As an example, what I'm coaching, if you had 10 round numbers 2 weeks ago, 10 existing old world listings, old world. I expect 70% of them not to happen because it's old world, new world. That's not sad or wrong or a problem. We've got to reset to new world. That was then, this is now. And we want to get on the front foot with those people. Hopefully you already have and said, hey, look, pardon me, the honest conversation, are you in a position where you need to sell right now or can you hold off a bit? They appreciate it. Transparency, mate, I've got to sell. Done. Let's go. because otherwise what you're going to do, you're going to kick it down the hill all the way. Say the joints, they think it's worth 2.2, but now it's worth 1.9 or something, and you get a great price. They're still not going to accept it because they're stuck in the old world of 2.2. So you're going to do all this work, but the vendor can't get their head around what reality is now. They're stuck in what they were told 3 weeks ago. That's the human condition. They can't adapt. So you're going to do all of this, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to carry the frustration into the next phone call because you got a great new world price, but they don't see it, only the old world, and you waste all this time. Meanwhile, over here, there's all these new people that need your help. Gym owners, restaurateurs, all these people that are in a very different financial position today that have equity in their home that they need to survive, that you can facilitate that transaction in the middle if you're there for them. But if you're over there crying over spilt milk from what was 2 weeks ago, you can't help the people in need right now. The people over there, you probably can't help because they can't accept what is. But the people over here, they need you. They need your guidance, leadership, support, trust, knowledge right now more than ever. And if you go into them with the right intent, you will thrive in a very challenging situation, and you will have purpose in your work, and it won't be hard, and you'll love your job more than ever.
John and Chris and Geoff, there's a comment that's come in, and it's in line with your thinking from Brett. To say, yeah, the reality is a lot of those people you just mentioned, Geoff, their financial position has changed over the last week. We're talking about the last 7 days. So it's not something that's been built up over time. So having the ability to reach out to them and have that authentic conversation that you're there and genuinely wanting to care. And it's very similar to the tone of other webinars that we've run this week, John and Chris. The intent has to be you're there to help. The intent is not to sell right now. The intent is there that you're top of mind. If circumstances do change for the individual, like you just said, gym owners, cafes, beauticians, spray tan, all those types of businesses right now, Geoff, that their business has just completely stopped. You have to be there as their support mechanism as well, as much as the person that's going to hopefully get them, assist them get out of this mess.
And
I was going to say, Geoff, you mentioned uncertainty before. You know, ultimately, people could be no more certain if we help them transact their property. We're positioning them for the future, right? So this is going to be one of the most powerful moments in their life. There's no doubt about it. And I think we're really positioned to serve better than any time before.
Mate, absolutely. They need your smarts and your strength and your leadership more than ever. In a booming market, what do they say? Even a blind squirrel gets an acorn once in a while. In a booming market. It's not a booming market. It's a time of crisis, and they need your leadership, guidance, support. And I believe we've got a duty of care to those new emerging vendors to be there for them, not waste countless hours trying to get a deal over the line that probably won't happen from a month ago because people won't accept what is today. You've got to be on the front foot, complete honesty, transparency. This is where it's at. Do you need to sell or can you wait? Tell me now. I'm here if you need me. If not, take 5. Boom. We've got to keep moving. We've got to keep doing it that way. And for me, something that I believe wholeheartedly is in real estate professionals, because the best salesman is never a salesman. They are just supporting, providing knowledge, and the sale happens. If you do this enough, you will list more than you could ever imagine or dream. John, you were the best at this for decades yourself because you were there as a trusted advisor. You're a professional in the space giving the advice. The transaction with real estate, you don't have to pre-qualify them like, do you ride a jet ski or do you wear pink sweaters? Like everybody lives in a house. So they're qualified as either a tenant or an owner. Everybody's qualified. If you are there to provide service, support, knowledge, guidance through this time, they will use you because they have to use someone. Until the day...
To your point, Geoff, and I know you've done a lot of coaching with Matt Steinway, he's a dear friend of all of ours, and Matt said recently that the key thing is now you've got to focus on the top 20 buyers that really want to buy. Don't worry about those that are going to buy when this is all over. That's fine. We'll get to them when this is all over. But there are people out there that are wanting to buy now, are keen to buy now, and enthusiastic to buy now. And the sellers on the other side of the transaction, again, don't worry about those that'll sell when we get back to where they were before. We'll get to them. and you should still have the authentic conversation with them, because I actually see the opportunity. I was coaching someone yesterday, Geoff, around this, and I said, that they were about, 50,000 apart. I said, imagine if this vendor could take that 1.5 million. Yep, it's not the 1,550 to 1,600 they were hoping. They take the 1.5 million out of the market, put it into the bank or wherever they want to put it, under the mattress. Cash is king right now. And most pundits would say the opportunities that will come up over the next few months will be better than the opportunities that exist today. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to be desperate, but we do know, unfortunately, there are going to be some people, be it a bank or be it a mortgagee or whoever, that's going to, and if you are there and you're cashed up, ready to go, whether you want to upgrade your home or buy an investment or put it into the share market, it's down, I think, 40-odd% as we speak, whatever it is, because all this stuff is going to equalise over time. And whether the share market bounces back to where it was in 2 months or in 12 months, it's going to bounce back. We know that. We saw it in the GFC. We've seen it in other 9/11. We've seen it in every situation. When you're in the middle of the situation, it feels like you're never coming out the other end. Then you come out the other end, you say, oh, okay, I did come out the other end, which of course we will sooner than later. So, Geoff, just if we take ourselves outside of this situation, because, one of the reasons we had you on today was mainly for this situation, but also you've been coaching a lot of people prior to this very, very successfully. What are some of the key things you're observing and or coaching to your key people that are having them grow their businesses so fast? I mean, what are 3 or 4 or 5 key pillars that you observe that you think that everyone on this call that's in the world of sales needs to be getting right?
It's all about really the dialogue on the phone calls, because that's the engine room. And all of my clients, from what I am observing, I'm taking a different approach, because mine is a softer touch base, checking in, here if you need me. Top of mind, not a pest is my catchphrase. Top of mind, not a pest. No one likes a pest. And at a time of crisis, even less. So I believe people a lot of the time can just make all these calls in Agent Box, CRM, and just go through them. Voicemails to a lot of people, 15-second maximum. And it's literally, oh, g'day, JM. Geoff Rowe here, mate. Thought of you. Checking in. Hope you're well. If I can help in any way, buddy, or you just feel like a chat, give us a buzz. Stay well. Bye. Boom. Do that 50 times a day. Bang, 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 bang. Within 72 hours, people are calling back. Within a week, you've got a listing. This is like a formula, and it works, and it's proven, tested. So the I guess, not Machiavellian, but the old school sales scripts, for me, they don't work. You just got to check in, be top of mind, let them know you're there. They're going to have questions because they own a property and you sell them. So like 1 + 1 = 2. Keep yourself top of mind. Don't be a pest. Make the calls. Do the work. A lot of people don't make the calls. I'll tell you why, as you know, because they are apprehensive because of what they think they're going to get back. But if you do it this way, you only get good back. So people get better results, more listings, and they don't get vomited on the phone.
Yeah, I think there's a note there from Kelly O'Brien, who is one of our seniors in property management, and they've rung every tenant in their portfolio just to say, hey, how are you? We want to check in that you're okay. The feedback Rob Fernie was saying last night was phenomenal, and we know there's going to be some challenges in that area. And the fact is, you've opened the dialogue up for when people are challenged and the relationship's stronger. But boy, it also, again, as we talk about serving, it does make you feel better to know you can make a difference in this challenging time.
And mate, what you just touched on there, the key that I'm talking about here, this is what we do all the time. So when there's a crisis, they all call you because you've been there through the good and the bad. You're not just there in the time of crisis. So we've got to think on a macro level long term. We've got to do this all the time, not just when we need to do it. If we have that discipline, the best agents that I see, they have scheduled what will we put in, whether it's 8 a.m. till 11 a.m., whatever it is, but they are on the phone uninterrupted. Do not talk to me. Bang. That is the engine room. That is the lead measure that then everything flows out of. There's no lag measure if you're not doing the lead. So dedicated call time, intent, focus, presence, critical. the focus on them. How can I help? Lots of phone calls, do the work, and then it bears fruit. And you got to do it every day. 3 out of 5 is not good enough. 4 out of 5 is not good enough. You got to keep doing it. Making little notes in the database, when to call back, being absolutely vigilant with the detail. All of this stuff's critical, not just now, but always. And if you do that, like now for me, is an opportunity for everyone to reset. New world order, reset. This is how I conduct myself moving forward. And really, if we do that, you will go well through this and you will survive and prosper above and beyond your wildest dreams, because you're applying best practice now. We didn't have to do that before because it wasn't where it is today. It's forcing us to be better. It's forcing us to be laser focused. And again, if this was a time of war and there were enemies on our border dropping bombs or whatever, we wouldn't be debating policy or we wouldn't be carrying on about bullshit. We'd be focused on survival. So we need to be like that right now. Focus on survival. What do you need to do? Who do I call? I have the conversation from the other people, old world. Yes, no. I'm here if you need me. Move on. Go, go, go. It's our ability to constantly reset. One of my techniques is stop, look, breathe. So when you're in your head about the listing you just lost, which people will do, or a vendor won't accept a really good price in the new world, which will happen, then you need to say to yourself, stop, look around, breathe. 10 breaths, 3 breaths, whatever, reset, go again. You've got to keep coming back. It's like the old typewriter, like, yeah, boom, bring it back, boom, bring it back, boom. It's our ability to stay present in the process, whether it's a good or a bad time, that always sets us up to win.
Yeah, there's no time to evolve. There's no time to evolve here, though. Sorry, John. There's no time to evolve. It's about revolution, isn't it? It's really significantly changing our world at speed.
Yeah, I think if it was, I think it was Viktor Frankl, but someone said, you know, the real success lies between stimulus and response, meaning that in our everyday lives, and forget Corona for a minute, in our everyday lives, there's going to be situations. Someone says something, we either react like our old habits, our old emotion, our old ego, or someone says that, so I'm going to get on my high horse and aggressive, or we're going to breathe, stop, breathe, think about it. Just say, okay, what did they really mean there? Is there something that I've miscommunicated? Maybe they've had a bad day. How do I check in? And Corona is just like one hell of a big stimulus, really. It's out there. It's causing some physical pain and distress. It's causing a lot of mental anxiety, which comes off the back of a lot of financial distress. So these are all stimuli. What you need to do is just respond appropriately. So I love the fact, I just wrote that down. This is an opportunity for a fresh start. Yeah. It's not this is the beginning of the end or Armageddon, because if you actually frame it in your own mind, Geoff, as Armageddon, this is the 1 in 100-year tragedy. Why did it have to be me? Then you start feeling victim. You say, okay, this is an opportunity for a fresh start. Reality is, unfortunately, there is going to be lots and lots of opportunity that comes out. So there's going to be people that go through a lot of pain. There's going to be some people that will benefit from that pain. My job is just to help anyone that wants to buy or sell property achieve their goal. So if you, Geoff Jowett, want to sell your property today, let's have a conversation. Let me have an authentic discussion about what values have done, what the level of demand is. Let me outline for you the opportunities moving forward. We can go this path, we can go that path. And let's have that discussion. And I'd just be saying to people, Geoff, you know, you need to make a view on what do you think if you think the market's getting worse, if that's your personal perspective, well, let's get on the market fast and sell it in the next 14 days. If you think the market's going to be a lot better in 2 or 3 months, well, why don't we wait until then for you? And everyone's going to have a different perspective on it, but I think that's really important. You know, stimulus, response, whatever happens to you, this is an opportunity. I know, Geoff, you're a great gym goer. In fact, you're one of the early people that sort of pioneered the whole gym and personal training world in Australia, certainly in Sydney. And it's like when you go to the gym, right? There's a bit of pain and discomfort in the early stages to get to the point. And in fact, I think, you know, you're actually breaking and tearing your muscles to make them bigger, which I don't have a lot of experience in, neither does Chris, but you and Troy can relate to that metaphor. But that's the discomfort and the tearing of the muscle that makes them stronger for the next day, or it could be the next week. This is not a sprint. This is not going to be over next week. This is probably not going to be over at Easter, as Donald Trump, I see that much, tweeted somewhere. Now, by the way, I don't think it's going to last for 12 months either. I think that in the next, as I've always said, 6 to 10 weeks, we are going to be feeling like we can see, if we're not at the end of the tunnel, we'll be able to see it. We're seeing some good news. We're seeing China's lockdown has worked. We're seeing Singapore. We're seeing other countries have done well. We know that Spain and America are at the other end of the cycle. They're ramping up, and Australia's kind of ramping up off a lower base. So we know there's all sorts of things happening there, but we also know that the best, most brilliant minds on the planet are all laser focused 24/7 right now on finding a treatment to cure this and finding a vaccine to prevent it. I'm going to back the human race here, that all those smart people in all the university hospitals and all the statisticians and all the scientists, they are going to find, in fact, there's very positive talk, right now, of treatments that are being tested that are showing great promise. So I'm going to back the human race. And it was funny, Mike Connolly just sent me something, and I won't go through it in detail, but it's very, very good. We should send it around, Troy. It was, some people might have seen it, I'm sure it's gone around the traps, but it was around Bill Gates saying, the positives that are coming out of this is, people are actually realising that in the human race, we're all connected. Now, unfortunately, the metaphor is we're connected through corona and people are realising, but off the back of this, we're all going to hopefully start realising that interhuman connection is critical. People are going to start realising that looking after your health is vital, and eating and drinking those sugary drinks and eating that horrible food, that's just like, it's horrible stuff. You've got to stop all that rubbish. So I think the world will be a better place in a few months' time, unfortunately, as a result of this, and some people will lose their lives, which is tragic. I love your metaphor of a fresh start, Geoff. This is not Armageddon. This is a fresh start. Are you laughing, Troy? Are you hearing the vacuum in the background?
No, John, I'm getting text messages from absolutely everyone. Everyone, thank you for sending through your text messages. They are very distracting. I'm going to put my phone away. But it's totally off subject, John. Sorry. People are just bombarding me with text messages today. I don't know why.
Private joke, or can you share it with Geoff and I?
Definitely not for a public comment.
Now I am intrigued. Can you hear my housekeeper in the background? Is that the problem?
No, it's not. It's directed at me. Don't worry.
All right. We will on that jovial note.
John, just before we go, there's a couple of comments that have come in that I think I'd love everyone's opinion on the comment. Matty King has written in, Geoff Rowe, he absolutely loves your work. His words, I'm loving it. He agrees. Our service to the community right now is to have meetings of honesty coupled with intelligent and well thought out solutions that's not attached to any agent interest will always move people forward. And, thank you, Maddie, for sending that through, because I think you've just simplified it in a way that everyone can take away those notes and write that down, because very much what we've been saying the whole day today and along with the rest of the webinars, we need to be there as a support function, but we also need to provide solutions and options for people. And I think that's really important. Another one.
Again, I thought that was brilliant. It was intelligent conversation.
Yes. So having meetings with honesty coupled with an intelligent and well thought out solution, not attached to any interests of the agent, will always help people move forward. That's our service to the community right now. So Kingy, well thought out, well put down.
By the way, this comes from the guy that's done nearly 5 sales in the last week. So this stuff works, and I know that, Geoff, you've worked with his team. Just before we forget that, Troy, I want you to keep going with these questions. But Geoff, I know you've generally had a full book, but I guess now when things change, you might have had some cancellations of your keynote speeches, as we all have. Are you available if we sent a link around your email address, if any individuals or offices or small groups wanted to have you in their corner over the next month or two?
Mate, pardon me, absolutely, mate. And there's no keynotes at the moment other than William and Harry and Squirt, my dogs and horse. So they're gone. But like the strategy stuff right now, helping people navigate this, I love it. I love this work. I'm available. If you want me, email me. Just one quick thing on that, following on from Kingy. This is probably the best tip I can give people to do today. When you are calling people, this is so important. You have to trust it. When you make those calls, you are genuinely in your heart just checking in, are they okay? Less is more. because they will come back to you. I have seen this with dozens of my clients, and they're a bit unsure at the start because they're conditioned to talk about the market, conditioned to talk about no. Checking in, are you okay here if you need me? It's got to be more sophisticated. It requires more steps in the conversation. Don't try and do it all in one hit. That's when you blow them out of the water. Let them come back. They'll come back with questions. Then they're asking you, that puts you in a position of authority, and you can then walk them down the path. If you're trying to do it on the front foot, call one, my opinion doesn't work. So get through a lot of those calls. I'm here to help. If you need me, give us a buzz. Hope you're well, thinking of you. They will then come back to you. Probably 20% of them will come back to you with a phone call. Like, this is a different way to do it, and it works a lot better.
Any final thoughts, Chris, Troy?
I think just stay strong for your clients. I think that's the important thing. Get your head right before you make those calls. But, you know, for me, it's always been about helping people, and, you know, this is our opportunity to shine. So I just encourage everyone to get on the phone and do exactly as Geoff has asked.
And we'll send Geoff's email address. Troy, could you or Wits organise that?
Yeah, so very similar to yesterday, for one of the Zoom calls we did, we sent around some information for the principals. We'll be doing the same today for Geoff's contact information, website, email, mobile, if that's okay, Geoff. We'll send that around following up.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Patrick says to everyone on the panel, the guests over the last 10 days have been informative, supportive, optimistic during this time, exclamation mark. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. Any questions you have, please let us know tomorrow. We'll pull up stumps here, Geoff. Thank you. And we will send your details around today.
Thanks,
Troy,
Johnny.
thank you. Chris, we look forward to seeing what you're going to wear tomorrow. It constantly intrigues us, so we're delighted to have you.
I'm heading out to buy a black T-shirt, John, just so I can fit in. Hey,
Well
Geoff,
done.
thanks for your energy today, mate. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much, Geoff. Thank you,
Stay
everyone.
strong.
Thanks, guys.
Stay strong. We're here together.
Yeah.